nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of SA Soccer Roundtable. I'll be your host tonight. My name is Harry. Joining me tonight is Rafa. Unfortunately, Royce's his honeymoon with the new job is over, so they're working him to the bone. So, unfortunately, with me having to reschedule because AJ was playing in the Copa Surf. And unfortunately, the schedule didn't come out until after we already had set plans. And, of course, they had a Friday night match, which was all right. He had a fun time playing for that here, so. Rafa, been a rough week for you, my friend.
Well, 2 weeks. I'm back from the highway to hell.
Well, I was more talking about your national team that you semi-root for here. It was a rough last round, we'll just say, going 0 for 2.
Yeah, but we'll bounce back. I'm not sweating it. I'm not one to panic. Well, we like I said, they always find a way to win, like get bounced back. So
sound like the United States last World Cup. It's like, oh, we'll make it. Oh, damn.
Yeah, but we won't choke against Trinidad. We'll guarantee that.
I do think Mexico has the talent to do it. Like I said here, whether the right manager's in place, that will, we'll kind of discuss that down the road. Do want to give a shout out to Max at WTFILAMENT for his Twitter handle. Pardon me, for coming on last Saturday morning, kind of talking about his experiences over in Germany, what it's kind of like being an SAFC fan. Basically covering them from Germany and while I was out stationed in Guam. So I was kind of glad to do that and hope everybody got a chance to listen to it. So we got some exciting news. We're going for silverware tomorrow. San Antonio probably, in my opinion, had their most convincing win over RGV, at least in recent memory that I can think of, a 3-1. Before we get into the highlights for that here, your thoughts on just, on the match?
Like I said, what do you say about the Clásico, the South Texas Clásico? It's always intense, but this was all for the marbles to get to the Western Conference final. I had all the drama, the out the field drama, and then the matchups, on the field. And, I know, we're being there, we're sitting there, you can feel the vibe. This was going to be a very exciting game. It was, I guess, a sellout, and you just got to give it to SAFC. They're on a mission. Like I said, we're not here they're not here to disappoint, and they took the same approach they did against the Loyal. It basically, got RGV out of any type of rhythm. And I think they were like, well, we're not going to be like Phoenix and let them come back. They put their foot down and just kept the pedal going, kept the gas, put on the gas and just smothered them. And they end up getting the result that we need. And now we're playing tomorrow to get to the final.
Yeah, so lineups probably, I doubt we see any changes, but, just to go over the lineup, Jordan Farr, emergency loan from Indy 11, goalkeeper, I'm going to give Ginny Check her shout out here, the BBB, the Badass Backline Brothers. She gives them a Better Business Bureau rating of A+. Tainter, Kamiri, Ford, PC, Maloney, on the wings, Jose and Abu, and then up top, Patino, Nathan, and Epps for that here. So this, barring injuries, knocking on wood, I think this is the lineup for San Antonio FC. Any thoughts on the lineup? I know it's what, third match in a row that we've kind of had this. Outside of the goalkeeper, this seems to be a pretty set lineup that's clicking.
What can you say about this lineup? I think this is probably our best, 11, out there, and having Patino back's really been a big difference. It's allowed really some of our other players to kind of really work the ball, and Patino just grabs so much attention from the defense, so it creates more space. And what you can say about other players like Mo and PC, they've been stepping it up. And our defense, we made the right decisions in bringing Ford and Tanner in, just to complement Kamuri. And I know they call it the BBD, but this is the triple threat. They're not allowing anybody to pretty much get in there as far as, and they're holding their own. And like I said, it made Cardone's job a lot easier now. Now Jordan's job, he's just, he gave up one, but that was like, whatever. I'm sure Jordan's enjoying having a solid defense in front of him for a change.
Yeah, I was actually on with a podcast in Indy. Here, let me get the Cue the Smoke podcast in Indy, and they were talking about Jordan, and they're like, "So, what's your thoughts on him?" I was like, "Can we keep him?" And they're like, "No." So, and Jordan's got the cool story with the fan that unfortunately had the brain surgery that was doing well. It was at the game. Jordan's gloves from the last match, and like I said here, he's adapted real well here in San Antonio along those lines here. And like I said here, I was listening to their podcast, kind of preparing. Evidently Marcino's had his eye on him for a while, so this is there's a reason why they went after him. This, they do the homework, and I'm assuming they had a list of people that they would love to see here in San Antonio, and then of course in the future. But I have to think depending on what his contract situation is, I believe he's under contract, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about Indy at the end of the show with their new technical director and head coach, Mr. Mark Lowry. I don't think he's coming here, but it opens up the door possibly.
Maybe Mary Lowry won't go after his keeper at El Paso and take him over to Indy. That's a possibility.
That's possible. Let's get into the highlights, and the game starts out quick.
Big East Keeper of the Year, Providence College will lead RGV tonight as we are underway. San Antonio FC.
I've tried. Sorry for the blurry highlights, but this is a YouTube thing here. I'm not sure if this wasn't coming in, but the first one here just doesn't seem to come through.
You can see there how we really
there it goes
smothered them on the outside.
I did have a question on this one here. Or actually, no, it's the PC one. Were you surprised he kind of shot as opposed to trying to defeat Patino?
I think he wanted to make a little statement to say, hey, I can shoot too. But
this is the one where I think he, instead of shooting, he should have fed Nathan.
Yeah, but that was close to going in because that did get a good deflection, and if it goes a little bit lower, it's in the net.
They're on their game.
So I give him props for that shot. It's just a beautiful. I think anybody would have taken that shot.
But Tampa on record for their shutouts.
And here's the first goal.
Can he open up? He can! Save! Rebound! It's in!
It's a nice feed from Epps. Good shot from. If the keeper doesn't stop that, it's going in. But hey, Patino with a cherry pick. Sometimes you got to set as a forward, you got to be a good cherry picker, and put those in and got the first one on board, and that set the tone of the game.
Yeah, and it finishes 1-0 at the half. But it was one of those matches where it wasn't as close as the score said, and the game ended up getting out. But for RGV, I think they really only had. Hold on, let me pull it up here before I misquote. They didn't have that
many opportunities. And I think one thing Marcino learned from from the 4 games, I think this is the first game we had this defense against them.
Yes, it is.
So, the other times I think we were just beaten by speed, and especially on the outside. Well, we took that away from them, and they really couldn't. They didn't know where else to create, shots or plays in the box. And you can tell they're very, very frustrated with that. But, kudos to Marcino on that game plan. But the key is having the speedy defenders really made the difference out of this. And then having PC outside and, having also, Maloney, it's all speed and a good defending. And, like I said, RGV just could not do anything offensively.
Yeah, and I think one of the good things about this game is, at least in the first half, and really until SAFC got out to the 3-0 lead here, they were able to. They were aggressive, but they were smart. They weren't getting cards for tactical fouls or anything along those lines. Where RGV at the end of the first had 2 yellow cards, we didn't have any. Which, especially going against RGV, sometimes that's been something that's kind of shifted. Is where we'll fall for their stinky bait and get a cheap yellow along those lines. And for this game, they kept the focus on it and kept doing it here. This one here, I watched Edson's and his Down in the Valley. And with you being kind of a goalkeeper coach here, I want to hear your thoughts on what the goalkeeper does, because Edson thinks that it was the goals really based on him, where the goalkeeper comes out and causes Pimentel to think that he's got help when he doesn't have help, and then of course it drops here. So we'll see if you have that same feeling as well as far as on the replays, and of course the replays are via YouTube and USL Championship on YouTube and for it here.
Like
so this is off a throw in.
Change tempo with them and make sure that you've got those numbers in the box to take advantage.
That drops in front, and it's Patino.
When you see the goalie come in, I think we go back real quick. You'll see that little
right there.
So you can stop right there, right before that. You see how he kind of came in? Basically, there was there. You can see a miscommunication. Normally, a goalkeeper will should have gone after that ball. He should have called Pimentel off and said, "Hey, mine." But he hesitated, and then probably caused a confusion between him and Pimentel. Pimentel was probably thinking, "Oh, he's going to come over me and get the ball." Well, that didn't happen, and you see how the goalkeeper's kind of caught off on.
Well, he's in no man's land. He's done. If the ball lands, and it did, if it lands to Patino or any SAFC player, he's not in any position. And I don't know which defender this is. I could look it up, but he's just to me, Edson put this goal directly on the goalkeeper, just for the fact that if you're going to commit, you need to commit. But where you went halfway, you put your defense in a no-win situation, because and of course we don't know what was communicated because we're on the other side. But I thought it was a pretty good shout out by Edson going on just how it is. Now the ball does land for Patino, and he does a great job of the one touch and then finishing it like a poacher does.
Yeah, and if you see that outside defender, he really didn't have a chance to get that because he was out of position. You see how that they're with that right-footed shot. Now, if he takes a left-footed shot, he blocks it. But since Patino was able to put a good first touch on that ball to get it to where he can shoot the ball in, it's easy pickings for him. Yeah, that play should have actually the keeper should have called out Pimentel, or at least, well, if he was going to call him out, I don't think he was going to grab the ball, but mostly maybe punch the ball out, because that's really the only way to clear it out of the box.
But if he's further back, he's got more time to react, though, right? Because I think that's kind of what the issue is, right? Or
not necessarily. One thing with goalkeeping, I always tell, if you get closer to the player, you're actually closing their space. But if you look and see where Patino's at, he does see where the open space is at, and he's able to nudge it in. If the goalkeeper is playing a little bit back, he's got more space to kind of react to that ball and get to it. And then Patino kind of loses that space to shoot. So, yeah, if you ever, kind of test it out, when you're real close line, you're really don't have really angles to shoot. When you're a little bit further out, you do have those angles. But like I said, you got to give Patino, kudos for that shot. He had a great first touch, and he shot it with that little space window there on the goalie's right side, and was able to, secure that second goal in. So, great shot by him, but big mistake on the keeper for not, staying committed to that play to clear the ball out.
And what I liked about it, because I know with AJ, we're trying to teach him a little bit more about his hips control. Mm-hmm. You can see on here, especially for a young player like AJ, how he was able to position his hips to be able to turn it to where, even though his back was to the side or to the goal, when he adjusted his hips, he was able to be able to really arc that shot in an unnatural position, because you can see that backwards.
So he does basically he's doing that first touch allows him to do that volley shot, and he knows that he's got to get into that little window of space there on that left side, and goalkeeper pretty much he had a chance, he could have had a chance to stop that shot, but Patino placed it on the right spot and got it in.
So that was the second goal, and then very shortly after that, about 5 minutes later here, Nathan, puts a move, a little flip over the defender, and finishes it off. I know Patino was like, "Hey, pass it to me," so he get the hat trick. But Nathan, being a goal scorer and the leading goal scorer of the team, was able to finish it, and that was good night RGV. So watch this little cheek here, little chip, bam.
Yeah, kudos to Jose with that little through ball. And then that was kind of the story of most of the night. We're missing opportunities for little passes, little through balls to get shots. We were holding the ball a little bit too much, but they did it at the right time to get that one to pretty much kind of put the nail in the coffin on RGV.
Yeah, RGV, once they got down 3-0, they weren't coming back now. They were able to get one. I won't lie, at the time, I didn't think it was a PK, but, watching it on replay, watching the second, it unfortunately, it was a PK by Ford. Unfortunately, he didn't get the ball. He went through the man. It was pretty clear, in my opinion, from the backside there.
Couldn't get to the ball.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, the PK, and unfortunately,
Alma puts it away.
Alma put away. That's what you can do.
Very difficult penalty to have to guess and save.
Yeah, those are real difficult to, if you kind of look at the hip movement, I think he could have. That's one thing I tell about keepers, look at the hip movement on the PKs.
But San Antonio walks away with a 3-1 win. If you watch the Striker Texas post game show, there was sad Edson there. You have to kind of feel a little bit for RGV, because they had such a great season, especially with the expectations that they had, that they weren't expected to be here. They got by Phoenix, in a thrilling fashion, and this is one of the few games where, where they were just outclassed, and they were missing, a couple of key players. One, didn't have enough appearances to qualify, and one was on national team duty. I thought the Stampede did an outstanding job coming up and supporting in their section. I still wish we would have been able to have a joint tailgate. Unfortunately, wasn't able to. But stadium environment. I'm not normally one that does the wave, but this time here, I made the exception, and then everybody got their cameras out, which was a pretty cool thing there. So your thoughts on the sellout? I think it was a little bit over 7,500.
It was the second highest, I think, total, behind somewhere around there. I think it was. I think so. I think it was like the second highest attended game there at Toyota.
No, it's not even
third
close on that. No, it's
it was like on the
probably recent years it has been, but overall, it's probably not even the top 10 because they've eclipsed 8,000 at least 3 or 4 times along those lines, and I think they said they had. I'm trying to go back and see.
I think it was 7,500. I think they were there. I know there was a list that I think that was sent out, that posted on Twitter.
7,966 actually, so closer to the 8,000 for it here. So I thought, but like I said, it was a fun crowd, great crowd. Bunker was alive and doing well here. So kudos to everybody that came out and supported it, along those lines here. Moving on, we had to face Orange County in California. The team's already out there if you've watched their social media feeds. I think you can probably expect the same lineup. Before I go into giving my thoughts, just kind of in general, what's your thoughts going into this game?
We're riding high right now, and I don't know that it's. I'm not trying to be like a soothsayer, but you can imagine this. I mean, the last time that we made it to a final, it was us versus a Florida team, and the last 4 teams includes a Florida team and a Texas team. Could that be a foreshadow of next week? And maybe.
Only difference is it won't be in San Antonio. It'll be away no matter where it is. But
would lightning strike twice? Who's to say? But going into this game, I think we've had I guess honestly, you say the tougher. I think we maybe had a little bit the tougher road because OC, yeah, they had a hard time with. I mean, they had a hard time with Roots. I think they took them too lightly. I don't think they were thinking they're going to.
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Well, going to PKs, I think they took them lightly, and I don't think they'd expect Roots to just hit Lightning twice with a ball, on them. After knocking off El Paso, they say, hey, well, we'll take care of business. But, you got to give props to the Roots they're 1 PK away from making the final.
So, and this is kind of how Orange County does it. They're a very defensive team. And I was on the Orange and Black podcast this week. They're very defensive. So, they've won 6 in a row. They had won 6 in a row prior to that draw. They beat a Phoenix Rising at home. They beat Oakland Roots away. The game that got them the home field, they beat the Loyal. They beat the Lights 2-1. Los Dos, they beat 1-0, and then of course they beat the Switchbacks down a man. But what they do is they play very good defense.
Mm-hmm.
But what they try to do is they try to go over the top and let Ronaldo Damas try to do one-on-one along those lines. And he's quick, he's fast, he's accurate. He's got 14 goals, I want to say. Yeah, 14 goals on the year. And he's a good guy. Like I think he's the reason why they won the switchbacks game, was because they they went over the top over the switchbacks. They and he got free on one and he was able to finish. I question any team that tries to go over the top, against the the BBB backline, the badass backline brothers. I just don't think, number one, they got the height, they've got the speed, and they are physical, to where I don't know how successful that strategy would be. Your thoughts on them? And this is per the Orange and Black podcast, thinking that, as far as for a strategy, they're going to try to let Damas do what he's done all year, try to beat the backliner, get the attacking, and then, maybe a trailer for that here. But I just don't know if he gets the ball if they try to go over the top.
One thing the way you can counter that, I want to call it the kickball style, try to kick it over and run. If you just play Kamiri a little bit deeper to intercept those balls. And if Orange County is going to be doing that, and if Kamiri can, or even Ford or Tanner intercept those balls, it's going to be a long night for OC, and they're going to eventually they're going to wear themselves out. And like I said, we do have a better offense, up front than what OC has. But I don't think OC's seen a defense that we have, because we do match up with speed. We do have the height. And like I said, these guys are clicking, and I think they do smart things in the back. We're not doing. That's the one thing I think that's a big difference. We're not doing really dumb mistakes.
Right.
I know you say, especially not that was so much with the PK, but hey, we already had the game in the bag. But they're not doing mistakes at crucial times, and that's costing us games like in the past.
I just don't know if their midfield and defense has seen a press like ours.
Yeah,
and I think that's the big difference. Because that's what happened to San Diego. They're a finesse team. And they just got outplayed that first 20 minutes, and I think. Especially if San Antonio gets that first goal, good luck. I just don't think that Orange County, at least at this point, has shown that they have the attacking prowess to do it. Now, Ronaldo Damas is a hell of a player. Like I said here, I watched him, against the switchbacks, and he won that game for them. I just don't know how successful that would be against us and the more pressing style, because RGV played them mid-July and beat them 2-0 in Orange County. And Orange County, they play a similar attacking style. I don't think they got the same talent as we do by any means, but the Mountain play is more physical. They'll press. And they didn't handle that very well. Looking at how they did against Phoenix, who I think is also kind of on par with how they did it. They played them later in the year. They did win one, the last one, which was a heavily rotated lineup for Rising, which was home. They lost to them October 2nd 1-0. They lost to them 2-1, and then August 14th they drew 1-1. For that here. So I just, because the switchbacks, is more of a finesse team to me, out of the Mountain. Roots are physical, but the Roots don't have the same attacking capabilities that we have with San Antonio FC. And, they had some shots, they had some opportunities, but they played a very defensive style. And I watched that second half of that match after the SAFC one, because it started, I think right as we were leaving Toyota Field, and it was just a hard watch. They play very defensive. and they'll do the kickball over the top, and then kind of go back and it was just they're there. So like I said, here I'll get into my prediction a little bit later, but I just to me, if Orange and Black podcast is correct, where they think that's how Orange County is going to try to attack San Antonio, I think it could be a long night for them personally.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna play that way, and if Marcina does, I guess it's his homework and neutralizes their top forward, I don't think they match up with what we have in the midfield. I don't think they have the. So here's the one thing: if we get ahead, I think that's added more pressure to OC, and that's when you're really going to see them really kicking the ball up, and that's when you smell blood in the water and you go for the kill there. And that's going to open more space, especially for our forwards, for Patino, like I said, for Patino, for Gallegos, and even Epps on the outside. Even PC, he may get into in the scoring sheet like the way he did he didn't score on this past weeks, but he was very involved with a lot of the crosses and the offense. So, I think that's the key going in this game. If we can get ahead, when you play a team like that, their whole goal is for them to get ahead. If they can't get ahead and we're at top, we can make adjustments and pretty much shut them down. We could win a 1-0 game against OC. It would not a problem and still dominate. Because they just don't like I said, we're not making the mistakes in the back like in years past. And I think this team realizes that, what they need to do. And like I said, I think we're going to end up scoring quite a few goals on OC. I don't think they're going to be able to handle our pressure up top.
Yeah, I've said 3-0. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think this game's going to be over by halftime, especially if San Antonio can get it. Like I've said, all playoffs, if the game is 0-0, around the, after the, let's say 60th, 70th minute, somewhere around, then I think you can start to get concerned a little bit. But this team's just on a different level, and I know everybody that probably listens to this is, probably already, agrees with that. But I just find it hard to believe that, barring San Antonio not being able to finish, that is the only thing that worries me is if they have a game where they haven't. But I think the difference between now and then is you've got Epps, you've got Patino, you've got Nathan, and you've got Jose. The odds of all four of them being completely off, especially at this stage of the game, I think it is going to be very rare for that here. So, and
then we got a bench too. You got Dylan as an option there. You got Lindley, you got Beetle, and Lima. We got quite a few combinations that we could, if we do have to make a couple adjustments. I
don't think this shorter bench for the playoffs. I think you only see Dylan, and I think you only see Sam Gledo. I don't think barring injury, I don't think you see anybody else off the bench for that here. Just I think with the short bench for that here, and I think Gledo comes on to kind of help, especially if you need more of attack or just to shore up, go to 5 in the back. And Dylan, to me, I think both you and Royce have stated that he's more of that hold up defender that probably enhances the defense even a little bit more. And I'm not saying Patino doesn't enhance the defense, because we've seen him do some hell of plays defensively. But I think Dylan overall probably has that more hold up capability that you and Royce love.
He's more physically imposing, and his body can allow to keep possession of the ball. and keep defenders away. And also he can fight off, kind of chicken fight in there and get up when he's up top. But one of the things I think also this game, is like you mentioned about the 0-0, we can't have that. Normally a team that plays like that, they're just they score one, they're going to play pretty much park the bus.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to park the bus, and that's something we cannot allow this game, because if they get one on us, they'll find a way to park the bus.
I think they got to get two, though. You're not winning this game 1-0. I don't believe OC can win this game 1-0. I just don't think so. Think that they can do that. Unless, because San Antonio has shown they don't need the ball a long period of time. Set pieces they're able to do. They're going to put OC under pressure, and, it'll just be interesting to see. Moving on to the East, it's Chalk City once again. Tampa Bay Rowdies, got past a tough Birmingham Legion 1-0. Lou City put to bed Charlotte Independence 1-0. So in the East, you got Tampa versus Lou City, two veteran clubs, two historically great clubs. I think this is the eighth straight Eastern Conference final that Louisville's been in. So they've got the pedigree. I think Vegas and I think Vegas and what's the USL Twin Spire Sportsbook, which is the USL Championship playoffs, is presented by Twin Spires, has the Rowdies favored for that here. So next week, depending on who wins, Sunday, the 28th on ESPN, either San Antonio or Orange County will either be going to Tampa or Louisville City. Any preference of teams you'd like to see?
I want to beat the Beast of the East of Tampa. Probably warmer weather. There's probably be a better place.
It'll be warmer weather. There's no doubt.
Weather. You don't have to worry about crazy snow or ice or rain, and up in Louisville. And I think that might be. I don't know if we ever played in those type of conditions. We probably haven't done well. So I think we have a better shot probably in Tampa. Like I said, Tampa's been the cream of the crop as far as this season. So I would love to face them. Also for them being an NASL team. So it'd be interesting. And like I mentioned, that deja vu, that Texas-Florida final from 2014, it could happen again. But this time we don't get to host it, but hopefully we'll get the same result. So but that game's going to be very good. Like I said, got to give Tampa the nod on that. It's going to be a close game. I could see that game go to PKs. I don't
think so. I think Tampa's on a different level, and even if San Antonio faces Tampa, that will be the toughest test. I think Tampa's playing at a different level. Defensively, offensively, they're skilled.
Mm-hmm. But you got to give Louisville. Remember,
Louisville's been there.
They've been there, so they know the pressure, and that's why I was saying this. That I could see this going maybe in extra time, or because they've been there, and and they're not nervous. I don't think they're intimidated by Tampa. So, like I said, the pressure's on Tampa to win, not necessarily Louisville. So. I think
last year Tampa beat Louisville in Louisville to advance to the finals. So that one should be a good one to go to. For San Antonio FC, I know they're doing a watch party. What was that? Winchester's, I believe,
on Broadway.
On Broadway downtown. I know 210 Alliance is doing their watch party at the Hop off of Huebner for that here. So there's going to be a couple of watch parties. I'm undetermined if I'm going to be going to a watch party or not for that here.
It would have been nice if they had done it at Toyota Field, just put on the Jumbotron.
That'd have been nice, or one of I've heard from a couple people it would have been nice if they would have chose a facility that was family friendly, because
kind of like the Burleson beer yard.
Because unfortunately, Winchester's not family friendly now. It is 9 o'clock at night, so I'm assuming that probably played a huge part in it. But it is what it is. USL News and Notes. There was a lot of news. So one, New Mexico Troy Lassane is out, and they promoted his assistant coach Zach Prince. I thought that was kind of interesting, for that here. Miami Paul Dalglish, former Austin Aztecs head coach. He was the technical director, came down, helped turn the Miami FC around. They made the playoffs, but he parted away. But the big one, to our Copa Teos friends out in El Paso, their technical director and head coach, Mark Lowry, decided to make the move to Indy 11. What I thought was kind of odd about it is this wasn't about money. It was more about the lack of opportunities that he felt to be able to go to MLS. He felt that going to Indy 11 sounds like, that he'll have more of an opportunity to be able to be viewed, to be able to get that opportunity for that. I don't think it necessarily means that Indy 11's going to MLS, just for the fact that I don't think MLS is doing another expansion team till, I would estimate, after the World Cup at this point for that here. And that's what, 2026. So you're talking about 6 years or so before they, before most likely that comes to play. So your thoughts on Lowry making the move from El Paso to Indy 11?
Well, that's a huge loss for El Paso. I don't know how they're going to bounce. That changes a lot of things for them. Will they be able to stay competitive? Especially who they get, and then like I said, when you bring in a new technical director and a manager, the players that they have on the roster may not fit the system of play that new manager is accustomed to. So hopefully the loco they don't get too upset as far as if they make any player personnel changes. But that's often happens when you hire a new coach. And I think Lowry going to Indy 11, I think the way you mentioned about going to MLS, I think because of the TV coverage over there towards that area, since you do have FC of Cincinnati and Nashville, you're in between a couple of MLS teams. Yeah, I think the coverage of him being at Indy 11 is will end up helping him get to them a coaching job in MLS. So, if he could turn on Indy 11, at least get them into, make a deep run on the playoffs. So then, I want to see, I want to be surprised he ends up becoming a candidate, for a coaching position in MLS in the next few years.
I just think it's. And we've had this issue for a while. This isn't the first time. This has been an issue since NASL, when the Scorpions were around. MLS not looking to USL, NASL, NISA, whatever league that you want, for an opportunity outside of Landon Donovan. And we know why they looked at Landon Donovan's, because he's a name, for that here. So, and, to me, that's the concern. I think how El Paso can kind of remain status quo is if the assistant is hired, and now he'll probably want to put his print on it, but that'd be the only thing that I can see. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see how the staffs kind of shake out what El Paso does. But yeah, it's I don't like it because I think Mark Lowry left a position that the job wasn't done. Let's be honest. El Paso, for as great a story that they are, they haven't won anything. They have no silverware. They won the division. They won the divisions, but San Antonio's done that, last year and didn't really mean a whole lot until you win that Western Conference title or you win the USL title. You don't got any silverware. So to me, I felt that he was this close, and I really do think if they would have been able to find a goal against the Roots, we'd be heading to El Paso this weekend and not Orange County. Along those lines, I really feel, and then that would have been a interesting match, to say the least. So
I wonder if also it has to do maybe the facilities. I don't know what the issue, what the status is as far as El Paso getting soccer specific stadium, and also
not anytime close.
Yeah, and maybe that also played in a little bit of a factor. Just having a nice, I mean, you got to give it to us. We have a facility. And as far
but
as
Indy doesn't either, though. They're playing at Iwipui Stadium after playing at the
RCA Dome, or
the
RCA
Dome,
or whatever it's called.
There's rumors that Indy Park is coming, but listening to the Indy podcast, it's a running joke that it's the announcement's coming, but that announcement unfortunately never comes. So just talking quickly about CONCACAF, I guess Canada is the king of CONCACAF. If you follow Canadian soccer, Twitter, social media, they have a 1-point lead over the United States, who had a draw against Jamaica on the road. Not the best performance by the U.S., but they got the goal early. They are able to do what they needed to do, get a goal or get a point. Mexico, unfortunately, after the loss to the U.S., made the trek to sunny Edmonton and playing on the ice skating rink there, in Edmonton, and unfortunately, they didn't look good. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched that game. I don't know if it was the cold, if it was the tactics, if Canada's, because Canada did tie them down in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
If Canada's just that good, but if you're, I don't think Mexico doesn't qualify. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't shock me to see them finish third.
Yeah, I think from hearing from the media down there, and also from former players like Cuauhtemoc Blanco and Rafa Marquez, this team doesn't have an identity, and it needs to find one. We have 3 good forwards up top. The problem is our midfield's is not young, and it needs. And I think
but you have young talent there.
Yeah, well,
that's the issue, though, right?
That's the main issue, is that the young talent actually won a cup. They beat the U.S. in the final. They beat Brazil. That Revelations Cup. There are some players like Diego Lainez and Cordova that should be on the first team, that were a part also of the Olympic team that finished in third. I think that's what the Mexican Federation is kind of also bringing us. Like, hey, well, how do we finish in third place in the Olympics and we win this cup? Why are we not using these younger players, for this? I think, like I said, the midfield for Mexico, like I said, it needs to be switched. It's too old. It's not slow. They're not very creative. Some of our outside defenders, they have Edson Alvarez playing out of position, that's a big mistake there too, because he's having a great season in Ajax. So I think they're looking at, I did read a report today that they're maybe looking at making the change. As far as who they get, that's up for debate. I've seen maybe Tuca Ferretti from formerly of Tigres and Juarez. Now we're out there with Juarez. He's coached the team before, like on an interim basis. I think he knows more about the Mexican players more than Tata, as far as how to use them properly. He's, like I said, he could be one. I think Mohamed, who I think he's another one. One of the wild ones, a rumor that maybe could come into fruition, I don't think would be this cycle, is Santiago Solari from America. And you got to give props to him. He's really raised the level of play for Club America. And like I said, you have Cordova on the team, Henry Martin. A lot of those Olympic players were on the come from Club America. So there's options, but I think Tata needs to realize, hey, I need to go younger. I think everything goes in a cycle. I think the U.S. went through a cycle too. I think they used too much like Josie Altidore and a couple of all the other players just way too long. I guess past their prime. And so Berhalter, give him his credit.
Case now, though, is it?
Yeah. So, and I think that's what it is. It's just you got to. It's a cycle. You got to change it. You got to add new, hungrier players on the team, and I think that'll help them because I think eventually when you go to the World Cup, you want to have a good mix of veterans and young players. A real hungry team going in because if you watch some of the Euros, there's some teams that. Look at Holland. Holland's coming back. They came back. They fixed their mess. They're a contender. You got France, or the defending champs. They're going to be the favorite. I know Italy's in trouble. A little in trouble
Italy
right
and
now.
Portugal are two teams that are in trouble, and I saw they're seeded, so they can't face each other, which I was kind of disappointed because I would have loved to have seen it Italy versus Portugal.
I think they did that on purpose so they wouldn't lose one or the other, so that both of them will qualify. But you can see, everything runs in cycles, and you have to add younger. You got to mix in younger players. Like I said, eventually, I think Mexico is going to add those players soon. I think they do need to integrate them now. Just trial by fire. I mean, you really don't. I think you have enough talent to at least, like you mentioned, at least get third place to get into qualifying. That's what it really was about, is just to qualify for the World Cup. And it's not more about finishing first or second or third. It's just getting into the dance, and then whatever you do in the dance, that's what's going to mean in the end.
The next cycle, which is the end of January, they on the road to Jamaica, which is a lot tougher now than what they were. Home against Costa Rica on the 30th, and then home against Panama on the 2nd. So they've got the opportunity to make up some points. The United States, 27th, home against El Paso. January 30th on the road at Canada, and then February 2nd, home against Honduras. So for both teams, the capability to do it, and for Canada, since they are, in the lead, they play at Honduras on the 27th, home against the United States on the 30th, and then at El Salvador.
And that was always a tricky game down there. I wonder if the honor is going to snow against the game against the U.S.
Depends where they have it. I don't think that they've announced it as of yet.
It is January. It's in the middle, dead of winter.
January 30th. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they went through.
They'll play up in Calgary or.
And I guess we need to show some love to Panama as well, because they are technically tied with Mexico. They're in the 4th slot. They play on the road at Costa Rica, at home against Jamaica, and then actually they play Panama. They play Mexico. That was the other one.
They're playing at the Azteca,
and Mexico.
And then that game, that's what I think that Mexico. I think they got a tie. I think with them, or a win. I'm not too sure, but one thing is going in. I think, like I said, Mexico needs to kind of fix a lot of their. If they can fix a lot of stuff, I think they'll be all right. Now, will the U.S. use the same tactics they use in Columbus at the Azteca? As far as pressing, you're not going to do that with that altitude, because you will wear yourself out.
Yeah, Mexico, Panama tied 1-1 on September 8th.
Yeah. I think Mexico will get that. They'll get that win, because it's always Panama's always had trouble playing there. They're not accustomed to that altitude.
This Panama team's a little bit different, though.
Yeah.
Because I watched them this last match here. They were down to El Salvador, and they came back and scored 2 goals to pull it out, which was kind of crazy. And if memory serves me right, they were late goals.
Mm-hmm.
50th and 52nd. So they're right after the first half, but they were quick goals in succession, and that was after giving up the goal to El Salvador in the first minute. So
I think they'll get the 4th place, and I think they end up playing, with the 5th place team from South America.
I'm not sure which team it is,
or maybe New Zealand.
And FIFA just came out with some changing of the qualification rules on that.
Yeah. Well, I know they did that for Europe.
Well, no, they changed it today that it was supposed to be a home and away. Now they're going to do single leg games at a neutral venue. So the playoffs will involve teams from Asia, South America, Oceania, and CONCACAF here. But I don't think it says FIFA will make a draw, only 30 of the 32. But the thing that I thought was odd is Asia's entry, is going to be decided only a couple of days before, the Intercontinental playoffs are to be played, which is supposed to be June 13th and 14th for that here. So I have a feeling those games are going to be in the United States just to draw money from that here. But, that's just me speculating, for that here.
I think it'll be a halfway, because I remember when Mexico played New Zealand, it was a home and away. That's a distance as far as but the games were like kind of like 5 days apart, so you had some recovery time. But I think
this is a one and done, though. This is a one and done.
There you have to bring your A game, because
there's no tomorrow. It's 4 years or 3.5 years.
I guess if there's an Oceania team playing a South American team, they're probably going to play in Europe. They're probably playing, or they may end up playing in Qatar.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that kind of as a pregame tester, kind of the old. What was the tournament that they used to play the year before?
Well, they're going to have the World Cup, the Clubs World Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup this January, and that's where they play. They're going to play it again this year there. So I want to put it past them if that's going to be a neutral site game, and if it's a halfway, it's probably going to be that. If it's between you got the European teams playing. So if it's an Asia, like I said, it's Asia versus South America or Oceania versus CONCACAF, it's probably going to be that's going to be your neutral site game.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Like I said, just kind of I like reading comments and stuff about soccer here in general, especially in this town. And I bumped into one about those mentioned about SAFC, Spurs Sports Entertainment not doing enough for the south side of San Antonio and so forth. And I think there is a I would love to see it for them to do stuff from down there, because there is like a lot of soccer interest down there. I think it's kind of like a little gold mine on that, but it's
an untapped market.
It's an untapped market, but saying something about it, is one thing, but actually doing something about it or having a pass to do something to help out down there, that's a whole different thing. And like I said, if you're going to talk the talk, then you better walk the walk and go down there and do something. Because like for me, I'm from Mission City, soccer organization. That's where I coach club. The last few years I did it, and like I said, there's a lot of great kids down there, a lot of, that do need support, that do need the resources. And it's like I said, untapped market there. And I would love to see from for helping those kids out. I like to see, like kind of the bigger brothers, SAFC go down there, embrace those kids and take them under the wing. And who's to say, the next Jose Gallegos isn't down there, and he rises, goes through the academy in here. So, in theory, like I said, if you're going to talk, better walk to walk, not just put SAFC on the spot. But if you're feeling that way, then you also need to go down there and do something and help out, those kids down there to help raise awareness, that way they can come to the games and so forth. So that's my final talk. I said, like I said, just doing that, I think, will make our, San Antonio more of a stronger soccer city than some of the towns or, some of the other cities around the state. So that's my final talk. Oh, sort of my final thing. And then next week, it starts. High school soccer starts right after the Thanksgiving. Well, 2 weeks from now, high school. So things are shaping up. So hopefully we'll be.
Well, TAPS is already playing, but yes,
TAPS is already playing. Yep.
We will be getting more involved with the playoffs. Either next week, with it being Thanksgiving week, depends if we have a show or not. That's still got to be scheduled. I'm assuming we will, just because SAFC is still playing. But yes, the high school soccer is going to be starting to take a more prominent role within the show for that here. My final thought here, got two of them here. One, Courtney Ford, developed this fundraiser. Unfortunately, Mama Ford, unfortunately, is ending treatment, and they're trying to help alleviate her pain levels for as much time as she has left for that here. So they're asking for some donations if you can, and send positive thoughts to Mama Ford and to Courtney and his family while they go through this tough time. Having lost my father to pancreatic cancer, it's tough. And I know Courtney has been very responsive, and like I said here, so with everybody, I know with the Rapids organization, with San Antonio FC, both fan bases, USL in general, MLS. I know a lot of people have already stepped up, reached his goal. But like I said here, if you have the opportunity to be able to donate, give prayers, words of encouragement to the Ford family, please do that. My final thought is also going to be kind of very similar to Rafa's. High school's already, at least with the TAPS is going, TAP soccer's going. So coming soon, we'll be a lot more focused on the high school aspect of the game here. So Rafa, make sure you get your top 10, top 5, whatever rankings that we're going to be doing. Because
hopefully I'll do a lot better job than Lethal Enforcer. I think he's ranking his over high school football names and stuff. So
I saw that he put out one. I haven't looked at it.
I saw some teams on there. I'm like, it's like this is not football season. This is Texas high school soccer. so might be different. I think this year I might modify it a little bit. I might do just like a 6A and then the subdivisions and so forth. So to kind of condense it a little bit. So and then make hopefully I don't get too much too much complaints. Like
no, give them all the grief. Give them all the grief.
But hopefully also get some coaches on too. So if there's any coaches watching, hey, we love to have on board, talk about the season and. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very wide open because I don't think there's a clear cut favorite, but I'll say more 2 weeks.
So next week's Thanksgiving, we'll most likely have a show. I don't know when as of yet. I know that's something that we've got to do is get back on a more regular schedule. For that here. I know my job's been a little bit helter-skelter. Rafa's been out on the Highway to Hell tour. For Texas style. for that here. So, but with high schools, with the holidays coming up, things will slow down a little bit more through there. But with Thanksgiving coming up, spend it with family, be nice to each other, love each other, leave the politics out of the discussion because nobody wins. For that conversation, you're not going to change anybody's minds, no matter what it is. Just enjoys, everybody's, the time that you have left. I know Rafa's had a tough year. This will be, your first holiday season without your father. Courtney Ford's going through his situation. With his mom, along those lines here. So, family's family. So just support them, love them, cherish them, and, be grateful, for, what you have, for that here. And, for, SA Soccer, what's life without goals? And thank you for everybody tuning in, and we'll get this up and for you to be able to hopefully listen in the morning. Appreciate it. We're out.